I do, I do like him. Well, this time of year anyway. Oh gosh. Now I'm just so as we're talking, I've got one eye on the TV as usual, and it's saying that there's a crowd gathering outside a mosque in Stockport. And that is scary. This whole thing is pretty scary because the guy who did it, he wasn't even Muslim. So I mean, so I think what I'm going to start off with is there's been all this disinformation yesterday on that you've seen probably in my chat, people saying, oh, it was this guy and it was this. It wasn't. There's been like a concerted effort on social media, especially on Twitter, to try and say that the perpetrator of this horrible, horrible incident was Muslim, a migrant. He was living in an immigrant hostel. They've even named him and everything. I'm going to show you that. Let's have a look. Anyway, the police have actually said the trouble is they're not saying what the guy's name is because he's only 17 probably. Now he probably has got a foreign name because supposedly his parents are Rwandan. But he was born in Wales and he came to Southport at 6 years old. But really the police maybe need to address this properly because sometimes I wonder if there's not like a concerted attempt to disrupt British society at the moment. Makes you wonder, is it like Russia or someone like that? Because as soon as anything happens to do connected even loosely with a migrant, it's a big story. Now, people are doing, twonks are doing horrible things day in, day out in the UK, but they're not all migrants that are doing it, but they don't get the same attention, do they? You don't get a headline, British person does this or whatever. But if it's a migrant, social media are all over it. And it just makes me think sometimes, it almost feels deliberate. But let me show you this twonk that was... so, of course, it's not a proper person. There's no photo. It's not a real person. It's probably a bot. And this was all over Twitter yesterday. And, of course, then it gets shared. The trouble is a lot of people, they want to believe this narrative. They want to believe that it's a migrant and it's a Muslim and it's this, that and the other. They jump on it before they wait and find out the truth. And so before this had even been, proven, people were sharing it, talking about it. Someone came on my chat today, didn't they, Peter, and said, this is... Sorry, I'm just... Yeah, someone's just replied to one of my tweets. Has it got a Winston Churchill, profile picture? He's another one who's not a real person. Oh, I think the chances of this family being part of the 5% Rwandan Muslim community is very much more than 5%. Either that or the murderer is a convert. So he's all, there's got to be a Muslim, but we don't, maybe he is, but we don't know that he is. Honestly, it's really starting to upset me, all this, because there's going to be big problems. There's going to be big problems. So the police have got to get a hold on this somehow. I don't know how they're going to do it. But anyway, so this is what came on Twitter yesterday. Police confirmed two children killed. So this was before we knew it was 3. 6 critically injured in a mass stabbing at a Taylor Swift dance party in Southport. 2 adults also wounded. 17-year-old arrested for murder. He's 17. Murdered burner Cardiff, Ali Al-Shakati. So, 17-year-old Ali Al-Shakati arrested in connection with the stabbings in Southport, England. But that's not true. That is not the guy's name. So the police have said It's not the guy's name. Who's this?
2 kids dead. Half a dozen critical. Adults stabbed. Have you had enough yet? Have you had enough? Do you live in Southport? Have you had enough? What's happening? We can't keep people safe in this country anymore. Why? The government, and I don't mean this government, I mean they've only been in power a couple of weeks. The other government, 14 years in power, and this is what they leave us. People going into playgroups and stabbing children to death. And what are police doing? All the police top brass across the country need sacking. They're incompetent. They're too woke. They're too pink and fluffy. I'm sick of it. 2 children dead. Half a dozen critical. Have you had enough yet? Have you? I've had enough. We can't go on like this. We've got illegal immigrants flooding the country. And this nutcase might not even be an illegal immigrant. He probably is, but he might not be. But that's not the point, is it? The point is we can't keep our children safe. Have you had enough yet? Have you? I don't think you have. There's more of this to come. We've got years of this to come.
I don't even know who this guy is.
Society's falling apart. It's crumbling away. Mass violence is on its way if we don't get a grip. Have you had enough yet? Have you? I've had enough. This can't go on. Not only are we killing our children through the trans nonsense, not only are we damaging women and we're killing young men, now we're walking into playgroups and stabbing to death children. Have you had enough yet? What are you going to do?
Well, I'm just wondering what he's going to do. So what he's doing is inciting up a load of hatred and everything. So, you know, it's just so upsetting because obviously it's awful what's happened. But do idiots like this really make it better? We don't make it better. Then why has he got boomerangs on his wall? Why has he got boomerangs on his wall and everything? It's like it's in Australia or something. It's got Jesus on the cross down here and he's just preaching hate. Another one who's just on there preaching hate all the time is Dan Wotton. I've been tweeting him on my other tweet account because he's using the girls, you know, the faces of the little girls, you know, to spread his hate. Just terrible.
What are you going to do? I have no idea what I'm going to do, but something needs to be done. Every one of those politicians sat in Westminster who was there several months ago, and I've been there for years, every one of them is guilty. Every single one, because they've not done their job. We've done our job. We've paid our taxes. We've paid them. We've done our job. They've not done their job. We're in mortal danger here. 2 children dead, over half a dozen on the critical list. Have you had enough yet? I've had enough.
I think I've had enough of him anyway. But so yeah, so he's one of the people that's named this guy as Ali al-Shakati, and this then spread. I'm not saying it all started from him. It started from a lot of different people saying that he was a migrant. You probably saw people have put comments on my channel or kept coming in the chat saying, oh, he was from a migrant hotel up the road and came over on a boat last year, and all this misinformation, which is just not helpful, is it? We don't know yet who this man is or this boy, whatever you want to look at. We don't know that he's Islam. We don't know if it's a mental health thing. We just don't know. And, you know, spreading all this hate just doesn't help. I know that people are angry and I understand that people are angry, but it's a bit scary if they're all going to be gathering outside a mosque in Southport. You know, you just can't do that. It's scary. Actually, I'm going to put on Sky News in a minute. It is a bit scary, isn't it? Let me just put Sky News Live on because there's some... God, it looks pretty scary, to be honest.
Just looking at some of the information that's coming out, police getting into riot gear, a large crowd assembling there. As I said, we will keep across it. It's only a few minutes from where we are here at the scene of what unfolded yesterday. Let's bring in Reverend Martin Abrams, who was one of those leading the vigil. He joins me now. I think we should start. Good evening, thank you for joining us. I think we should start by reflecting on perhaps what is happening just a few streets away from us. Understandably, there is a sense of anger about what unfolded here yesterday. But I'm sure you and the authorities...
This is what happens when people spread misinformation online. And now it looks like there's going to be riots outside that mosque in Southport. Will more people be injured, killed even? You don't know. The riot police are there. It's horrible. It's terrifying,
and calm
isn't it?
Situation.
I think all we can appeal for is a full understanding, people to be calm, to be dignified in the response, and to be in possession of lots of full facts. There's so much speculation around. All we want to do with dignity as a community is express our sorrow, our support in a very calm and dignified way.
Yeah.
Hi, Katrine, Jean, and BF. Now, I find this terrifying. I don't know about anybody else, because this is all starting because we don't even know that the police are going to have to come out and say whether he's Muslim or not. They don't care if he's 17 and they're not supposed to give his name. They're going to have to come out and actually say something, because people are deciding themselves, and people are being whipped up, incited into hatred. And at the end, that is no way to respect those girls' memory, to go off and cause a riot, and cause more trouble, is it?
This is very much a flashpoint on what has been a day full of that dignity and calm from those members of the community in the streets that surround us here, who have been coming in their hundreds in steady droves. There are young families behind us now bringing flowers, handwritten cards.
And this is just a little part of what there is further down the street at the other end of the road. The outpouring of love and support from the community is simply overwhelming.
The vigil that took place earlier, there was a minute's silence for the 3 girls that lost their lives, and for those victims who are still in hospital, a number of them in a critical condition. For those who didn't get a chance to see the vigil, what was your message to the people that assembled tonight?
We were there to do a number of things. We were there simply to stand shoulder to shoulder in solidarity. It was the opportunity simply for people to come together who simply don't know how to express what they're feeling and what's going on. But more than that, fundamentally, it was an opportunity for people to come together, to remember, to support, to find that sense of calm, and simply as Southport community to express its hurt with those who are hurting so tragically, whose lives have been changed forever, and to say we're here as a community for one another and for each other.
And Reverend, you are a man of faith, and at times those who have faith turn to that and look for comfort. Not everybody has faith, has a religious denomination, but they do want to reach out, they do want support.
Right, yeah, I'm going to take off now because I want to show you the things that I was going to show you. But of course, I'll keep an eye on the riot. I'd like to see when they're showing the riots and what have you. Oh my God, it's all been going on Sky News tonight. I don't know if any of you ever watched Sky News, but I was watching it and they were in Beirut. There's been a bomb in Beirut and that's all kicking off. And their reporter, Alex Crawford, she was right in the middle of this big fight and they had to come away because they were worrying about her safety. Oh, look at that. As soon as it come off, it's come back on. Let's have a look.
And there is support here.
They just went into absolute professional.
There was a minute's silence.
Each other. Every grandparent
to the mosque. Just
there you go. Oh God, it keeps going off it. Anyway, so that was all going off in Beirut as well. And I thought, oh my God, now it's all kicking off in Southport. It's just, I think the world's a scary place, isn't it, at the moment? So scary. You make sure you don't even want to go out of the house. these days. Bloody hell. Anyway, let me show you, as I say, what I was going to show you. First of all, I want to show you a positive thing about the attack, if you like. This is the window cleaner, Joel Verite, who was on his lunch break on Monday when his colleague noticed something happening outside, and he went to help. So when I say it's a positive thing, obviously it's still about this awful thing that's happened. But it's a positive thing, and it just shows you, you know, these sort of incidents, they do bring out the best of people as well as the worst of people, don't they? And this guy is a bit of a hero. There was a couple of heroes. Of course, the two women that were running the actual workshop, they're in critical condition because they were trying to save the little girls. So, you know, it does bring out the best in people as well as the worst in people.
We were driving down Hart Street, and then all of a sudden he slammed on the middle of the road and said, "Have you seen that?" I said, "No." He reverses the van back, and then all I see from my side was literally half a head from a girl hanging from the side of a car. So I jump out the car and I go up to her and I just ask her if she's all right, and she just looked in complete shock. She had blood all over her body. And she just screamed at me. She said, "He's killing kids over there. He's killing kids over there." I just looked at Martin and we were just in complete shock. We just didn't know what to think, didn't know what to do. But looking at this woman, she looked in a really bad way, and I just knew it was a really bad situation. So me and Martin start walking towards the place where she's pointed at.
And how far is she from the place where she's pointing at?
She's at the top of the road, leaning against the car. There was more people down the road, but at this stage, at the time, we were so focused on this girl, we didn't see there was more people down there. We're just hearing this girl screaming towards that this guy's stabbing kids at this location. So we start walking down, we'll start running towards this place where she's pointed, and she gets up. It's like she used all of her energy to point to us where this was happening, and then she completely collapses onto the floor. In which case we go up to make sure she's all right. She was also on the phone to the police at the same time, which is when I've took the phone off her and I'm on the phone to the police. Martin's making sure she's all right. I start running towards this direction, which is obviously where this is happening, where these kids are in the dance studio. And I'm running, I get to the car park, and as I'm running towards the door, there's a car which is a woman's in the car, and she's beeping her horn and she's screaming for me to come over. So I run straight over to the car, and it's just a middle-aged woman, and she's got, I presume, one of her child in the passenger seat, and then in the back there's like 4 or 5 more kids, all in the back, covered in blood. It was like a scene that you'd see on like a disaster film, honestly. And she just looked at me, the woman, and she said, "Honestly, love, I just want to make sure these kids are safe. I'm just going to park on the road. Please, can you get this girl out?" So you got the driver's side. On the driver's side, behind the driver's seat, I open the door, and honestly, like, there's this girl, which will probably stay with me for the rest of my life, and she was completely out of it. I can't explain to you how horrific it is what I saw, but in the moment, I didn't even know what to do. I didn't know what to think. I just wanted to get her out of the car and try and get her to safety. So I've just got this girl out of the car, and I've ran towards the road, and I've just been, because we're there at the start, you see. So there's only a few members of the public, and the main thing in that specific moment was like, there's still more. Like, this is actually happening, and there's people inside there, because that's where they've been. That's where they've come from. So I just initially wanted to get her out of the car and try and get her to safety, like, but I didn't know where was safe, if that makes sense. So I take her to the road, and I'm shouting and I'm screaming for help. Someone ring the ambulance. Everyone was trying to do the best. No one expected that would happen, but in the moment, all you want is just like a professional to be there to like kind of know what to do. So I go to the front, I take her out of the car park, I run to the front, I'm shouting all this, then we put her down, me and Martin put her down. Then Martin stays with this girl then. Okay, and there's more people which are coming at this stage. There's more people coming to help. Everyone's gathering around. Everyone's doing what they can do. And then I run back in. I run back into the car park, and I basically run towards the door which is the entrance and the exit out to the dance studio. And you get there, and it's like the building's like an L shape, and you've got the gym where I used to go to upstairs, and there was 2 men in this bit here, and I don't know who's who. I don't know what's going on. So I'm looking at these men, and they just look completely shook up and frightened, and they're pointing to this dance studio saying, "He's in there, mate. He's in there." So So I open the door downstairs, and as you go in, there's just a stairway which goes up. There's a landing at the top, and then which goes through to, I presume, the dance studio. So I just remember opening the door, and I was shouting hello, just see if anyone was there. And then I remember just taking a step on. I remember go onto the stairs and took a few steps onto the stairs. I'm still at the bottom of the stairs though, and I look up, and then there's just this guy there at the top of the stairs, just in a full tracksuit with his hood up, with a knife, and it's like he maybe didn't realise that I was going to be in there, but we've looked at each other, then he's scurried off to the side.
And you locked eyes with this man. You looked at him.
I looked at this guy, yeah.
At that point, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking things which I'm not allowed to be saying on Sky News right now, but I'm just...
I mean, how terrifying, you know, to actually lock eyes with the guy. The guy's got a massive knife in his hand. He's trying to kill all these children. How terrifying for him, you know. Just, do you know what this seems to me? This is like it's like a crisis point in Britain, isn't it? Because, and probably, you know this sounds ridiculous, but because you've had hot weather, haven't you? And hot weather, you know, it always makes things worse. You know, because obviously if it was pouring down with rain as well, you probably wouldn't get, you know, in terrible weather, storms and everything, you wouldn't get the crowds so much outside the mosque, etc. You know, it's volatile times, and when it's hot, everything's made worse. And also, if that the lad that's done this horrible thing, if he did have mental health issues, you know, they'd have been made worse because of the weather and everything. It's amazing how the weather can affect people. And I wonder if he had some sort of psychosis, you know, and I'm not excusing him, don't get me wrong. I think he's like I've seen people with psychosis, literally seen it firsthand. Sorry, I'm getting upset now. It's terrifying, because when somebody gets psychosis, they could do anything. So to witness psychosis firsthand is terrifying, because you know that person literally could do anything, and afterwards they probably wouldn't even remember it even. You know, it's the most terrifying thing ever to see, because you know it's like a possession by the devil. It's like a possession by the devil, and you know, you've just got to put yourself in a safe place to get away from it. Because you can't do anything about it. You can't reason with somebody like that when they're in that place. You can't reason with them, you can't talk to them, you can't do anything, because they literally are, in my eyes, possessed. That's what it looks like, that they're possessed with the devil. And then afterwards, when they calm down, because people calm down then from psychosis, sometimes they don't even remember it. They literally don't even remember. So that's how terrifying it is. And maybe that's what happened with that guy. And maybe it's a drug-induced psychosis. Well, you know, we just don't know yet. But thank goodness guys like this were there. Maybe he did save someone's life. Let's hope.
I'm just, at the same time, I'm really scared as well. Do you know what I mean? Because all I saw was a knife. All I thought was there was more people in there, which were damaged, which were hurting people. So I'm there by myself at the bottom of the stairs. I didn't know, honestly, I just wanted to hurt him so bad. But at the same time, I was scared for myself, and I was just wanted to be up there to help anyone who was up there. So I've come, he scurried off. I've come outside, and then I've been screaming then, because I know where he is. I'm trying to get everyone to come to the door. We were there for a good 10 minutes before any police arrived, and just the moment we turned up to the point where I've smashed the door, was a good 8 to 10 minutes, which felt like a lifetime, if that makes sense. And then we've ran, you know, I'm completely hectic now, because I've seen the guy and I know he's up there, and I'm just screaming, where's the police, where's the police?
But don't you think, like, at first you wouldn't even really comprehend what was going on, would you? You'd sort of be seeing it, but not really registering. You know, he's like, it take you that little while just to register what was actually happening, because you'd be like in some sort of, you know, it reminded me a bit. Do you remember we covered the Australian attack in the shopping mall? And that was a mental health issue, wasn't it? He just was running around attacking maybe women, mainly women, wasn't he? And he went for that baby, and he stabbed the baby, didn't he? But the baby survived, didn't it? You know, because he was attacking the vulnerable people. He was avoiding men. Do you remember? He was running, I can't remember his name, but he was running around that Australian shopping centre with a massive knife. And that policewoman, she was a hero, wasn't she? She just charged after him. She gave him one chance to put his knife down. He didn't. He lunged for her. She just shot him, and that was the end of him. You know, this reminds me a bit of that. It's like, is there something going on? I don't know. It's like the whole world, it's like in this febrile state. Like, you just don't know what's going to happen next. Oh dear.
One police car finally turns up, and I'm screaming, he's down there, he's down there. He just gets out where I am, and then he runs with me to the door. We run straight to the door, and then we get to the doorway, and then he said we've got to wait for backup, got to wait for someone else to come there, because he only had a baton on him. And then his colleague came with a taser, and then he comes in front. So these two police officers go up the stairs, and then I'm right behind them. They tackle this guy down to the floor. Straight away, there was no kind of fight at all. They just tackle him down to the floor, and I've grabbed this girl, and I'm walking down the stairs, and I start running towards the ambulance as soon as I get outside, and I'm sprinting towards the ambulance, and I put her down, you know, with a medic, and then straight away the medics running, the paramedics running. They were asking me to go to the ambulance, get these certain things, like, you know, for the drip and other things which I can't even tell you the names for, but I was just trying to be there for her as much as possible, since that guy, you know, when the police came there and we ran, and the suspect went down, it was kind of all done then, but the damage had been done.
But you felt compelled to stay and continue to help.
Yeah. So Martin stayed with the first girl who I pulled out of the car, and then I stayed with the second girl who I took from upstairs. I'm in a mess anyway because of what's just happened, and I'm just thinking, I hope she survives. There was parents coming up to me, like asking me to describing what their kids were wearing that day when they were going into the holiday club, and I just didn't know what to say, and they were asking, is she alive? Is she safe? And just didn't know what to say. And it was horrible. It was really disgusting to kind of be a part of it. But I'm happy that I was there at that time. I just really wish that it didn't happen for a start, or, you know, we could have done maybe something more to help.
What was it like as a parent watching other parents come and ask those questions about whether their own children were alive?
Well, this is what I mean. Obviously, just having my baby Avani, like, I'm a new dad, and that was one of the hardest things for me when I'm first off seeing these children in that position. These children weren't crying. They were absolutely terrified, if that makes sense. And then when these parents start turning up towards the end, because they're there to pick their children up from a holiday, from a Taylor Swift holiday club, and they're turning up and they're in absolutely hysterics. They're screaming, they're crying. They want to go into the building. They're not allowed to now because it's a crime scene. You know, they're coming asking me for questions. And
can you imagine what that scene was like? It must they described it like hell on earth, didn't they? And it must have felt like hell.
Wanting just no information. It's upsetting. It's heartbreaking. It made me feel disgusting. Really upset. But I'm still processing it in my head as well now, because it only happened yesterday. I just feel completely shook up of what's gone on, to be fair. I'm just really upset for all the parents and all the children who had to go through that yesterday. And, you know, just makes me want to be a part of some kind of first response unit who's there to, like, help people in that situation straight away. Because when you're in that situation of you're needing someone there with some kind of physicality, some kind of weapon there to defuse the situation, I mean, you need them there instantly. I feel disgusted for the whole situation of what's actually happened. everyone's being affected by this. It's not just a small thing. I think everyone's going to be affected by this, and the fact that it's all children as well makes the whole situation 1,000 times worse in my eyes. You know, they can't protect themselves at all.
You ran towards danger. Do you consider yourself? I know you.
I think this is going to be a massive thing, isn't it? You know, it's just. Honestly, I really think over these next few days now, it's just going to escalate. Well, in a moment, I'll go to the Manchester Evening News, who's talking about like what's happening at the mosque. But is it going to spread? You know, like anyway. Oh, let's not think about it.
You probably wouldn't label yourself as such. But you consider yourself a hero. What you did is not.
I know. Honestly, so many people have messaged me saying that, and I'm not going to label myself a hero at all. But well, no buts. I'm not going to label myself a hero at all. I just done what I felt was right in the moment, and in the moment, I was seeing a mixture of red because I was so angry and just like I need to like help these people. So I just done what I felt like I could do, and just everything I could do. That was all I could do. And you know, it's all happened now, and I think back to it, and I think, well, what if I actually, because we were doing windows, see, what if I ran in and got the pole from the van, and what if I went and done all this? But in the heat of the moment, you know, you can just do what you feel is right. And when I got to that point, when I was on the steps and I looked at him, and I just thought, if I go up there, you know, what's to say there's not another man there? Or what to say that he gets lucky and he gets me, then I've lost my life then. So but that's what I'm questioning in my head now. Maybe if I ran up, things could have been differently. Do you know what I mean?
So you'll be feeling guilty. Everyone will be feeling guilty because everyone will be feeling something they should have done that they didn't do. He's going back and dissecting what he did, but he's just had a baby. He's just, you know, so he's got to think about his life as well. And then this, oh my God. So he'd be dissecting it all in his head. He'd be feeling bad about things he thought he should have done, what he didn't do, but nobody knows what they would do. It sounds like to me he did quite a lot, really.
But I'm happy that I've done what I've done, and I'm happy that I've at least managed to, you know, save at least one life, or if not more.
Oh my God. Anyway, so of course, then Yvette Cooper went there. Now I'm gonna see if I can find her statement, because she's made a statement in the House of Commons. Yvette Cooper went. Keir Starmer went. Keir Starmer got a load of hassle from people shouting, you know, have we had enough yet? Like that idiot on the Twitter, as if, you know, it was Keir Starmer's fault. And of course, Keir Starmer's only been Prime Minister for 3 weeks, but he's got to get a grip on things, or at least appear to get a grip on this. You know, people are obsessed with this immigration thing. But I think it's being whipped up. It's being whipped up, a lot of it, for who knows who. There are reasons behind it. I was talking about it with my son earlier, and I thought, God, it could even be like Putin that's putting all these bots out on tweet and whatever, trying to destabilize Britain. Because I feel like Britain is destabilized. I don't think Britain has to worry about the threat from outside. I think it has to worry about the threat from inside with its own people, you know. It's like just so volatile, isn't it, the situation? So we're talking of which, let's have a look. So on the Manchester Evening News, because they're still not showing it on Sky at the moment. So they've got a live feed going on the Manchester Evening News. Disorder erupts outside Southport Mosque after a vigil to remember the children killed in the stabbings. So there was a big congregation of people, of course, for the vigil. So they've had a vigil tonight. And it's funny because I did notice when I was looking at the vigil, the scenes from the vigil on the news, there were mainly white people. I didn't see any black people there in the bits that I saw. So it sounds like they've then decided, or some of them, because there'll always be some troublemakers. Oops. Hang on. There'll always be some troublemakers who'll try and stir things up. So anyway, so it started off as a nice vigil, you know, to remember those little girls. But now a large-scale disorder has erupted outside a mosque in Southport after a vigil was held to remember the lives of the 3 little girls killed in the stabbing incident. Video footage shared online this evening shows a large number of people, a number of them shouting and pushing each other with police drafted in an attempt to calm the escalating scenes. Merseyside police officers and vans could be seen blocking the street, with riot police becoming involved in scuffles with the large group. The large crowd has gathered outside the mosque, with tensions running high in the town, following the brutal knife attack that injured children on Monday. This is a breaking instant, live updates to follow. So key events. So we've got a police helicopter circling the area. So and this has shocked local residents out on the streets, with roads busy with traffic. One man said that Southport is edgy, and others described the situation as horrendous. Multiple police cars and vans, blue lights flashing and sirens blaring, are patrolling local streets, with hundreds of onlookers gathering in the area. So riot police are in a standoff with protesters, and missiles being thrown from crowds. So videos on social media, I'm going to have a little look for some of these videos, showed more police arriving in Southport, where officers with riot shields are in a standoff with protesters. Some police officers were seen walking through crowds with police dogs towards lines of officers who are stood in front of police vans. Debris can be seen on the ground around the vans, while police have been using their shields to deflect missiles thrown from the crowds. Oh my God. So there's a police van set alight by the crowds as chaotic scenes continue to erupt. Bloody hell. Oh, here we go. We've got a video here. See, they're laughing. Look at these guys. They look like they're in a uniform, don't they? They've all got these black hoodies on with their hoods up. Joe, so honest to God, I really feel like there's some organisation with this. These people, they jump on the bandwagon of situations. They don't care about those 3 girls that were murdered. They don't care about that. They're not doing anything in their name. They just want to cause havoc. They just want to cause havoc and for their own purposes, whatever their own purposes are. But they don't care. If they cared about those 3 girls, they won't be doing this. Hang on, it's on the Sky News now. Let me see. See if I can get it up on my computer.
The Home Secretary earlier warned people not to spread disinformation following yesterday's stabbing attack. Well, in the last few minutes, Merseyside police have just released this statement. Let me read it to you. We can confirm officers are dealing with a disturbance during a protest in Southport this evening. At around 7:45 p.m., a large group of people, believed to be supporters of the English Defence League, began to throw items towards a local mosque on St. Luke's Road in Southport. Officers who are deployed are currently dealing with criminal behaviour and violence, with bottles and wheelie bins being thrown at them. As a result, an officer has suffered a suspected broken nose,
Oh
and
my
police vehicles have been damaged and set alight. Additional patrols are now in attendance, including the dog section. Assistant Chief Constable Alex Goss said it is sickening to see this happening within a community that has been devastated by the tragic loss of 3 young lives. In the last 24 hours, we have seen overwhelming support and sympathy from the community and wider Merseyside communities for the families who are currently trying to deal with their loss and care for victims injured during the major incident. Yesterday, our officers and other members of the emergency services were faced with one of the most difficult situations they will ever face. Tonight, they find themselves being attacked as they endeavor to prevent disorder. The actions in Southport tonight will involve many people who do not live in the Merseyside area or care about the people of Merseyside. There has been much speculation and hypothesis around the status of a 17-year-old male who is currently in police custody, and some individuals are using this to bring violence and disorder to our streets. We have already said that the person arrested was born in the UK, and speculation helps nobody at this time. Our officers should not have to face this, but we will be there tonight to ensure the safety of the local community who have suffered enough, and will arrest those involved in criminal behavior. So that is a statement that we have received in the past few minutes from Merseyside Police. Well, let's speak to Sky's Amelia Harper. She joins me now from the newsroom with more information. Quite a strong statement there from Merseyside Police. What more can you tell us?
Absolutely. Well, this is potentially developing into quite a serious situation tonight. We have those images there of riot police being deployed to this area outside Southport Mosque. This is about a 10-minute walk away, really, from the scene of that stabbing that happened yesterday at Hart Street. And you can see in those images, there is a man standing on top of what looks like the side of a garage, possibly next to a house. And a number of riot police are standing there with various pieces of equipment required to protect themselves. And what we can see here are crowds of, I think it's fair to say, mainly men, many wearing masks and hoodies, and in other footage that we have as well, can be seen fighting with officers outside this mosque.
These people don't care about those 3 girls who died. So the emergency services, what they had to face yesterday, dealing with all that scene, and now they've got to go out and face this. Those men are worse than anyone.
And there is a very large now police presence with multiple emergency service vehicles on the scene. And what you can see in these pictures now is that looks like some sort of flare. And there is a lot of debris on the ground as well. Things like bottles have been thrown. And in that statement you just read out, officers are dealing with criminal behavior currently. They're saying violence with bottles and wheelie bins. There we have that one there. That
look at them. There's a lot of them there. Well, I'll tell you what, they've got to get a grip on this. Anyway, they reiterated that the guy who murdered those children, he was born in Britain. Now, his parents may have been migrants, but he was born in Britain. So he's lived in Britain for 17 years.
Looks like potentially a brick of some kind being thrown. And if you look towards the back of that shot there, you can see just the sheer numbers of individuals who are on the scene, aside from this emergency service response. And it really has prompted a large response from police, additional patrols now in attendance, including the dog section. But you can see what police are up against here tonight outside this mosque. They are having that police officer there at the front trying to attempt some form of crowd.
They're just a load of thugs, aren't they? Just a load of thugs. And these are supposed to be the ones that are patriots. I'll tell you what, they're not. There's something deeper going on here, I think, Somebody's trying to, I swear somebody's trying to destabilise Britain. Or is it just these thugs that they don't care about Britain? You know, if they cared about Britain, would they want this to be like the picture that people get of Britain and the way they're acting, the way they're behaving? You know, to call themselves the English Defence League, or I don't know, it's English Defence League or British Defence League, but they're awful. I mean, just awful. And this is the violence that's encouraged by all that misinformation, disinformation. It's like an organised, deliberate thing, isn't it? But it could spread. It's terrifying.
Control, but there are objects being thrown at those police officers. There is a man with a baton there, a police officer with a baton trying to, we assume, asking people to stay back. So what is a very serious situation, and they will be at the moment trying to really get some sort of crowd control, but it appears that there is something, it is not clear at this stage exactly what, on fire now at the scene.
That's a police van.
Absolutely. And Amelia, let me just read parts of that statement that we had from Merseyside Police a little bit earlier from Assistant Chief Constable Alex Goss. He said it's sickening to see this happening within a community that has been devastated by the tragic loss of 3 young lives. He goes on to say the actions in Southport tonight will involve many people who do not live in the Merseyside area or care about the people of Merseyside. There's been much speculation around the status of the 17-year-old male who is currently in police custody. We have already said that the person arrested was born in the UK, and speculation helps nobody at this time. So this just an excerpt of that statement that we received.
Okay, right. I'm going to stop sharing that. We'll have another look at that later, see how it's going. But I want to show you now. So somebody, one of my members, unfortunately is not on the carry on chat level, he's just on the Let's chat level, but one of my members sent me a video that I thought that was, or a link, it was about the disinformation, and I think it's quite interesting. So let's have a look at that. Hang on, I've got to find it. Oh, hang on, that's not it. Sorry, hang on. Let me just find it. Sorry, it's just taking me a little while to find it because I'm tired and emotional, I think you could safely say. So it's LBC, and it's interesting.
Have been so brutally and horrifically killed. 6-year-old Bebe King, 7-year-old Elsie Stankham, and 9-year-old Alice de Silva Aguiar have died. There are more children in a critical condition in hospital. 2 adults are also in critical conditions this hour as well. The suspect is still being questioned by police who have released a few details about him. 17 years old, originally from Cardiff, moved to Southport about 9 years or so ago. But social media has had other ideas in the last 24 hours. Doing the rounds last night was a made-up name and a claim that this 17-year-old was a recent asylum seeker. And certainly judging by my Twitter feed in the last 24 hours, many people have fallen for it. So where did this misinformation come from? And how did it run so rampantly across social media? I asked disinformation analyst Stephanie Lamy where this misinformation had come from.
That information was fabricated by a known anti-lockdown activist. She has already been the source of many disinformation campaigns. I'm not going to name her because that would only give her the attention that she craves. But her line and conspiracy theory.
So there's actually, there's people out there deliberately starting, causing this disinformation and this. They're so dangerous what they're doing. These anti-vaxxers. Whatever you think or don't think about the COVID vaccine or this, that, or the other, but people jump on these things, and they're using it. What their agenda is, I don't know, but they're using it to cause deliberate, unrest, if you like, and deliberate confrontation. It's so depressing because people just fall for it. Literally, as soon as that was said about he was a Muslim and he was a migrant, everyone just accepted it. People don't look at things themselves, and go, oh, well, is he though? Let's just check that out. That's why I was saying right from the beginning, you cannot just assume, that's an immigrant or a migrant or a Muslim or this, that, or the other. You've got to wait, and find out if it really is, and then you take it from there. So these people are deliberately doing this, and this is, I think, Tommy Robinson does that deliberately as well. He jets in from bloody Alicante or wherever he lives, from Spain. He goes, causes havoc, and then he just jets back again, and he doesn't live in Britain. He doesn't have to put up with it all. He just incites everybody. And, I won't be surprised if he's being paid by somebody to do that. He doesn't care about Britain. He lives in Spain and he's got an Irish passport. He's not a patriot. So this assumption that people are patriotic when all they're trying to do is really cause harm to Britain, it's just beyond me, honestly. But it's terrifying. It's scary.
Was then amplified by various far-right accounts. And the data that was created by this amplification phase was then used by a spoof news website, a fake news website, to create an article. So basically it imported the fake name and the conspiracy theory around that name into the text. That website was then cited as a real website, news website, by far-right politicians who know what they're doing. But it whips up support for their talking points. And that's basically how the whole thing snowballed.
So the person who originally tweeted, I think this is an asylum seeker or whatever, is a real person.
Yes, she is a real person.
But that, because she has quite a big following on Twitter, that piece of apparent information was then co-opted into an article by a fake news website called Channel 3 Now News,
that's what
which doesn't seem to exist anywhere else than on Twitter, and that was passed off as a news article.
It's passed off as a news article. So you need to understand that these fake news websites have been around for quite a while now.
Yes.
They were fairly active during the first Trump election. Now, these fake news sites, they're revenue makers from ads. So you click through to them, and the people who own these websites make money off you clicking onto their website. That's basically their role. And you'll see also that the Twitter account is a blue tick account. Yep. So any interaction with these blue tick accounts is also monetized.
Do we know who's behind that apparent spoof news channel? Do we know who's doing that?
No, I checked into it and it's registered anonymously. But that's beside the point, because whether it's them or another group, we need to understand that who fabricated the disinformation in the first place is
that website's probably owned by someone like Nigel Farage, or he's another one. Whips up all this anti-immigrant, this, that, and the other, and how he's a British patriot, and then he's straight off to America then to help Donald Trump when he's just been voted in as an MP for Clacton. He's never going to last being an MP. He's not going to want to turn up in Parliament and work hard for his constituents. He looked bored shitless every time I've ever seen him in Parliament. He's just not going to last, is he? Because Nigel Farage, he's another one. He's not a patriot. He doesn't care about Britain. He's got his alternative passport. His daughters have got alternative passports. You know, he doesn't care about Britain. He's just inciting hatred for whatever reason. Maybe he's being paid to do it. You know, honest to God, I swear they're all being paid to do it by Putin or something.
A person, and she's already known for having fabricated other stories. And then this disinformation is used to create revenue for people without scruples, and then it is used by politicians without scruples. So basically, it's this tactic is called outrage mining.
Outrage mining, right?
Yes. So basically, there'll be a crowd that want to have the biases confirmed, that are fed disinformation, that riles them up, and they will amplify that disinformation because they are riled up.
What you can't do is stop the market square, in this case the market square online, from rampantly speculating. That's going to be impossible to do.
Yes.
I guess the new bit is, or the bit that's really surprised me, is the ease with which people have apparently assumed this thing that says it's a news site is a news site. It's just bizarre.
Yeah, this is what intrigues me. So people who demand evidence normally for everything, anything the police do or anything, you know, somebody else, they say, oh, well, we want to see the evidence. But then when somebody just goes, some far right idiot just goes on and says, oh, yeah, the guy's a Muslim, he's just come over on the boat last year. They just accept that because that fits the way they think. You know, because that fits the way they think. They just accept that that must be true, instead of realizing that in this day and age, you cannot take anything for granted without official confirmation. And even that, you know, you have to take the pinch of salt. You know, you have to sort of, you have to. Why do people just, as soon as somebody said that, I've seen it all over Facebook in loads of the Facebook groups and that, oh, well, such and such said this, so this must be true. You know, and then they start going, honest to God, the things I've seen on Facebook, and I stop myself from saying anything I don't know. But, you know, this just pointless because you can't argue with stupid. It's, you know, the ridiculous theories that they come out with no evidence whatsoever, but then demand evidence from everybody. You know, for anything that doesn't suit their narrative or what they already are convinced of, then they demand evidence. They demand, how do we know this? How do we know that? But then some person that they don't even know who they are on a fake news site comes out with that, and they just accept it.
To me, that people don't understand the nature of provenance and sources, and you know, it's unbelievable.
And I understand how terrifying it must be for a professional journalist. So what's been happening over the past 10 years is that to some people, facts don't matter. They just need their confirmation bias to be confirmed. And you know this.
Exactly.
We are in an attention economy. So if something grabs your attention, you'll and
that is so true what you said. Like, people don't care if it's true or not, as long as it fits what they think already. It's like, you know, if you think, I think Manchester City's great, so if somebody puts a post saying, oh, Manchester City's great, I'm like, oh, I'm going to like that. I believe that. You know, it's like the echo chamber, isn't it? People are just looking for people to confirm what they already think. And as long as it's confirming what they already think, they don't need any evidence for it. They only need evidence when it's saying something different from what they think. God, it's crackers. I don't know what's going to happen with social media. You know, it won't be good for social media, this, because they'll just get more, you know, tighten up on it more.
And it will bring forth very strong emotions, especially negative emotions, you'll want to share that. So this outrage mining tactic, we've seen it happen the world over. I mean, it's not just in the UK. In France, we had a couple of incidents where the far right did exactly the same thing, with no regard towards the victims or their condition or their families, and just used their bodies basically to create these disinformation campaigns, and other people use their bodies to make money. So yeah, I think it speaks to how people want their biases confirmed. Yeah.
Now, we don't know the name of the suspect. The police in Merseyside have told the Liverpool Echo that it is not the name that has been circulating widely on social media. And we also know that this person was originally from Cardiff, so is not an asylum seeker by definition.
Yes, I think the point is that the police has information. There's an inquiry that's going on. People need to respect the police as well, and the inquiry. And we need to understand that sometimes we don't know. And it's okay to not know. And it's okay to wait for further information from trusted sources. And here the trusted sources are the authorities. And you need to wait for information that trickles out, because the inquiry, they need to be sure that the facts are right before serving them to the general public, and that's very responsible. Now, if I were to criticize just one thing in the way that the police has been communicating around the event, is that the disinformation campaign was already ongoing at 6 p.m. when there was the first press conference.
Yes.
And they could have mentioned something about it then, which would have helped in reducing the reach of this disinformation campaign. But otherwise,
I do think the police have got to get a grip, but because sometimes I suppose it's difficult. I don't know what information they're allowed to give, because the lad's only 17. Maybe they're just not allowed to give his name or whatever, but they've got to do something because in the meantime, while everyone's waiting for the information from the police, these Twitter disinformation people, they're working away at it, spreading it. So before you know it, a riot started because it's got around to everyone that the guy's a Muslim, so they're all congregating outside the mosque when it's likely that he's not a Muslim at all. Or I don't know how the police are going to get a grip on it, but they need to get a grip on it, because this is going to result in something pretty bad, I think.
I feel that they've been incredibly transparent and respectful, because obviously the suspect is a minor and they cannot give the same types of information that they could if the suspect were an adult. And that's normal.
Stephanie LeMay, disinformation analyst and author of Agora Toxica, Uncivil Society in the Internet Age. I get this on text. You can quite easily prevent assumptions by doing your job and providing the correct information to the public instead of hiding it. All the information that has been released by the authorities dealing with this horrific set of circumstances is out there. We have relayed it. There is nothing that is being hidden here.
Yeah. Honestly, I go back to you just can't argue with stupid. It's like sometimes I think people don't care even if you provide evidence for something, people just decide what they think, and they'll think that no matter what. It's like a denial. It's a really odd thing, and it's not only in things like this, just in normal life as well, isn't it? It's amazing what people can just refuse to see, even when it's right in front of them. I mean, to me, the Peter Folding case, that's a prime example. Peter Folding is a gaslighter. It's obvious that he's a gaslighter. He's never done what he said he was going to do, but people still don't want to believe it. So it's like a stubborn refusal because they've invested so much in believing him. They don't want to not believe him. That's how it feels to me. And it's like must be a human thing that people do. Maybe it's a self-protection mechanism. I don't even know what it is. But it's very strange, because, you know, normally if you either shown some evidence of something or not shown evidence, as in the Peter Folding case, you know, never ever, you know, and the only evidence you have is of you know, the truth of what Peter Folding says. The only evidence you have is that he is a gaslighter, because of the fact of him showing it to, you know, psychics and, you know, those images. And I still believe one day those images, they will come out in his next book, and they'll be altered, and you know, he hasn't finished with it yet, I don't think, but they're not genuine. I don't think for a minute that they're genuine, and he never did anything that he said he was going to do. It's just all about protecting his reputation. And I didn't come to that decision lightly, you know, because I you know, thought he was great, you know, in the beginning and everything, but just now you can see it clearly from looking back. Hugh Edwards, he's another one, you know, because a lot of people are so invested in thinking, and I thought he was great as well. I mean, maybe I'm not a brilliant judge of character, because I always liked Hugh Edwards as a newscaster and everything. I've never occurred to me really that he would be like that, like the way he is, and what he's done. You know, it was a surprise. Having said that, I have seen the evidence, because I have seen the photos. They're on the members section, actually. I don't know, from ages ago. Maybe I need to put them up again. I had photos of him, you know, in compromising positions. So I knew that it was, so that was evidence that was unfortunately right in front of my face. But still, you know, still people don't believe it about him, you know. So it's very difficult, isn't it, if you've got a belief that you've held dear for a long time. It's like the Catholic Church, you know. I feel sorry for people, you know, who've sort of spent their life, spoken to people, Irish Catholics and Spanish Catholics, that sort of, you know, sort of invested so much in being a good Catholic over the years, and then to find out things that they found out, and to realise that it was all built what they believed. I'm sure there are some good priests out there and everything, but you know what I mean. After all the scandals and everything in the Catholic Church, it's like your whole life, what your whole belief system was built on. You know, these are people who are staunch Catholics, but, you know, older people been Catholics all their lives, and then suddenly the whole basis that their religious life was built on was sort of like shown up to be, you know, not so clever. So it's difficult. These things are difficult to come to terms with. But yeah, that's how I feel about this. You know, I don't know what's going to happen in Southport. Just worries me. And then is it going to escalate and spread over the country? People are going to jump on this bandwagon. Those poor little girls, 3 little girls dead, and all these horrible people can do is make even more problems. And, you know, that's a total disrespect to these girls' memory, in my opinion, anyway.